My name is Katya Aplonova.
My name is Isabella Jordanovska, and we work in the ERC project Discourse Reporting and Storytelling.
And now we will tell you about the mysteries of reported speech.
There are not many phenomena across languages that are universal. Even verbal tense, which is one of the most well-known grammatical categories, is not found in all languages. However, speech reporting, that is to say, talking about what other people have been talking about, is claimed to be one of the few basic features of human language. It distinguishes natural human languages from other kinds of communication. Just think about how often, when you have a conversation with someone, you talk about what someone else has told you before. Or try to count next time that you have a conversation with someone, how often you're reporting phrases that were actually told to you by someone else. Now, while reported speech is universal, the way it is expressed is not. Let's have a look at some examples of different ways in which reported speech is expressed cross-linguistically. We will see that the report can be introduced with a speech verb, a quotative marker, or a special verbal category inside the report. Let's start with English, because presumably everyone listening to this is familiar with that language. So in the following sentence, Mary said that she would come. There is a matrix, a so-called matrix, Mary said that, and a report, she would come. And the matrix introduces the report. And this matrix contains a speech verb say. However, not all speech reports are introduced by verbs. For instance, in Mary was like, yeah, I'll come. We have a quotative, like, introducing the report, yeah, I'll come. Like in English is often referred to as a new quotative, a quotative marker that's newly emerging among younger speakers. Outside of Europe, however, it is actually quite common to have dedicated quotative markers to introduce the report. I will show you an example from Ginyanga, a Kwa language spoken in Togo. The quotative marker ma introduces the report Nyenin mao da. It is raining. Kojo ma nyenin mao da. Kojo said that it is raining. While ma is used as a predicate here, it doesn't belong to the word class of verbs, because it cannot be inflected nor negated. Yet in other languages, the presence of reported speech can be signaled in the report itself. Our next example comes from German. Sagt, sei in Bucharest. He says he is in Bucharest. Here, we see a special subjunctive form of the verb to be, namely sei, that can be used in the report. Outside of the context of reported speech, the same sentence would be realized with an indicative verb form ist. Ist in Bucharest. He is in Bucharest. So, we have seen that while speech reporting is done in all languages, there are different ways in which it is expressed. And these are just some examples. There are even more ways of expressing reported speech that we won't have time to go into in this video.
In traditional grammar, there is a dichotomy between direct and indirect speech, where direct speech corresponds to the word of the character, indirect speech corresponds to the word of the narrator. If we come back to our English example, Mary said that she would come, it will illustrate indirect strategy. We can also change it to a direct one. Mary said, I will come. One of the traditional tests of directness of speech reporting is the presence of interjections, expressions like, oh, yeah, or oh my god. For instance, we cannot add an interjection in Mary said that she would come, however, it fits perfectly in Mary said, yeah, I will come, or oh, I will come. So, interjections are associated with direct speech. Recent progress on the description of minor languages showed that this is not a cross-linguistic tendency, as in some languages interjections can appear even in direct strategies, but still interjections are crucial for the understanding of reported speech, and we will come back to them later. The distinction between direct and indirect speech is not present cross-linguistically. For instance, in many languages there are special strategies to signal reference to the character whose discourse is being reported. Let's start with English. Fred says that he, himself, will come. A reflexive, himself, signals that the speaker, he, is co-referential with the narrator, Fred. However, in English, adding the reflexive is never obligatory. It can be used to disambiguate in context if it is necessary. There are languages in which one cannot avoid specifying the core reference between the speaker and the narrator. Let's take Russian. Вася сказал, что придет. Вася said that he will come. Pronoun here, he, is omitted. The prodrop, or an omission of the pronoun, is possible only if the narrator, Vася, is co-referential with the subject of the subordinate clause. So, if we say Вася сказал, что он придет, Vася said that he will come, pronoun he can refer only to someone else, not to Vася. Thus, the use of him or herself in English is optional, while the prodrop in Russian is obligatory. These kinds of strategies are called logophoric strategies. In some languages, there are even dedicated pronouns to express this co-reference, which are called logophoric pronouns. Let's take a look at the example from 1, where there is a general third singular person pronoun «e» and a logophoric one «ba». In the example «Бе о нём бабе кому», then his wife said she understood that. A logophoric pronoun «ba» is used, and it can only refer to the narrator, in this case, his wife. On the other hand, a regular third-person pronoun is used in another example. «Бе о нём га». Then his wife said he left. In this case, the pronoun cannot refer back to the wife, but it refers to someone else. Those findings contributed to the theory of mixed perspective, where a distinction between direct and indirect speech is not binary, but represents a scale, and even to the further cancelling of direct-indirect continuum stimulated by the discovery of logophoric speech.
Another fascinating aspect of reported speech is that it has many extended meanings. Recall that in the introduction, I used the expression that is to say, which is a metaphor based on the verb to say. Across languages, speech verbs are not only used in metaphors, but can also grammaticalize into many different categories. Out of all the sources listed in the World Lexicon of Grammaticalization, say is at the origin of the most grammatical categories. Some examples of these are cause, purpose, or various discourse markers, or the quotative markers that I mentioned in the beginning. Now I will use examples from colloquial Macedonian to illustrate the paths from speech verb, such as say, to something else, such as a quotative marker. Исја двајцава браќа, вика едниот бате брго да видиш рече, колку пари рече насрало магарето. And now the two brothers. One says, Brother, come quickly, he said, to see how much money, he said, the donkey shat. While it is well known that many quotative markers are grammaticalized from speech verbs, very little is actually known about the details of this process or how new structures emerge in spontaneous oral discourse. Speech verbs, like reče, he or she said in the example we saw, become defective. They lose certain verbal properties such as inflection, and they gain more particle-like properties such as being able to occur multiple times in one clause. Because reče, we saw, occurred twice in that example. And we even find extended meanings of reported speech that are not listed in the World Lexicon of Grammaticalization. For example, the inchoative aspect. This is an aspect referring to the beginning of a new state. Ама леле кај 17-18 сат кога рече врнам. But oh my god, around 5 or 6 p.m. it suddenly started raining. Literally, the translation would be, when it said, I am raining. Because there is a verb say here, it looks like the rain is saying, I am raining. But rain cannot talk, and this construction simply means that it suddenly started to rain. It's not to be interpreted literally. Thus, speech reporting has many different extended uses across languages. And this has led Sprunk and Casertelli to hypothesize that reported speech could be at the very origin of grammar itself. The evolution of situation-specific calls into language requires speakers to be talking about talking. They have to be conscious about and reflect on the form in which things are said. And this is often done using metaphors involving speech reports. The metaphors then become conventionalized over time, and they become extended uses, and then these extended uses in turn become grammatical categories, making it likely that speech reporting is at the heart of language evolution. Now, while we have shown the relevance of speech reporting in the basic understanding of human language and cognition, an equally important question is how to study it.
One of the main objectives of our project is to create a multilingual dataset that contains text recorded in the field. This gives us possibility to look at the real uses of reported speech and apply quantitative methods for minor languages that lack resources. All texts are glossed, translated, and time-aligned with audio or video files if they are available. We do it in the software called Elan Corp A, developed in CNRS. This is an extension of Elan, a software developed in Max Planck Institute. Once glossed, translated, and time-aligned, texts are annotated for the discourse reporting using a special template. The annotation of reported discourse consists of 4 levels: the construction syntactic type, the function of the construction's element, the semantic type of the discourse report, and the encoding of participants inside the discourse report. They correspond to 4 additional Elan tiers: Qt, RP, TIP, and PAR, respectively. Annotated files are uploaded to the TSA corpus, a linguistic search platform which is particularly suitable for multimedia corpora.
In the project, we work with text and not with elicited data. This helps to avoid the influence of the working language because grammatical peculiarities of reported speech are very sensitive to numerous factors that can hardly be controlled for during elicitation. For instance, if one asks to translate a sentence with reported speech to Macedonian, people do not use a quotative because it's considered to be colloquial. They only use this construction in spontaneous speech. The quotative can even get deleted when people are asked to transcribe speech into text. Something similar happens in languages with logophoric pronouns. They are very frequent in natural speech but are not used in elicitation settings. We also restrict the genre of the text we work with. We chose fairy tales as our main data source since in most fairy tales the driving force of the narration is a communication among characters. And since storytelling is an endangered practice across cultures, our corpus also serves as an archive of these traditional cultural practices.
Coming back to interjections, across languages, interjections signal instances of reported speech. First, we observe that all interjections frequently occur in the beginning of reported speech. But crucially, if we have an interjection, there is no need to have a quotative. In the example from 1, Ege I bade baison panyalewa. He, a hare, said, father, I will not be able to do it. Report starts with an interjection, and it is introduced by a speech verb. No quotative marker is used, even though the language has one. The interaction between interjections and quotatives assume a degree of complementarity between lexical and grammatical means, serving the same function. These grammatical phenomena have not, to our knowledge, been previously documented, and the fact that they actually occur may shed new light on the status of interjections within the linguistic system. We can go even further and suggest that quotative function may be directly grounded in the universal mechanisms of interaction between pragmatics and grammar.
The Discourse Reporting Project provides meticulously annotated corpora for low-resource languages and an annotation schema for reported discourse suitable for cross-linguistic comparison. This opens a potential for a new level of understanding of universal properties of discourse reporting.
We also contribute to the documentation of traditional narratives that represent culture or heritage. You can also visit our website to learn more about the mysteries of reported speech or explore them yourselves using our corpus.
Thank you for watching!